7:42 a.m. local time, Eastern Caribbean Sea. The warning chime on the USS Gerald R. Ford's radar console cracks through the calm, one sharp, precise note that does not belong. 3 new surface returns materialize out of nowhere. No approach, no gradual fade-in. They arrive instantly aligned in formation. Bridge CIC. Unknown contacts just popped up on the scope. Bearing 182.14 miles. Movement doesn't match commercial traffic. Heads turn. Chairs slide back. This wasn't on anybody's list of possibilities. The Ford is en route to a multinational exercise zone near Barbados, running a predictable course on a predictable timeline. But these contacts are doing something merchant ships never bother with. Their speed is a mirror of the Ford's. Their bearing is locked. Their spacing is tight. They're shadowing. And the timing could not be worse. For 2 days, Venezuela has been pushing extra patrols into the region after a run of smuggling intercept operations stirred political noise back in Caracas. Public speeches, accusations of foreign interference, and new Bolivarian security patrols hugging their maritime corridors. None of it was aimed at the U.S. Navy. But radar doesn't read intentions, only behavior. And right now, the behavior looks intentional. To the Ford's watch team, the timing isn't random at all. It fits into a pattern that began 48 hours earlier. 2 days ago, Coast Guard and Navy units conducted several smuggling intercepts in the Eastern Pacific. Routine events, nothing dramatic. But the political reaction was anything but routine. Caracas accused foreign forces of tampering with its maritime economy. Never mind that the operations happened thousands of miles from Venezuelan waters. Within hours, Venezuela upped its naval readiness level. Small patrol craft reported heightened vigilance zones. State media praised Bolivarian security patrols, and AIS gaps along their coastline grew noticeably wider. None of it signaled aggression, but all of it signaled a navy that felt watched, pressured, or misunderstood. And that's where misunderstandings at sea begin. The TAO flips through the overnight intel digest. Several entries jump out. Venezuelan offshore patrols drifting farther east than usual. Maritime patrol aircraft flying irregular tracks near the Trinidad corridor. Coastal radar buoys active for the first time in months. None of it threatened the Ford. None of it required a response. But taken together, it meant one thing. Venezuela had put more sensors, more steel, and more nervous energy into the water. And when a navy sails while feeling cornered, even ordinary radar contacts stop looking ordinary. The force captain murmurs it to no one in particular. Nothing they did was aimed at us. But the ocean doesn't care about politics. On radar, the 3 contacts hold formation. No drift, no deviation, just waiting. 10 to 12 nautical miles out, 2 Guy Carey-class offshore patrol vessels run a clean, parallel track to the Ford. Not closing, not peeling away, just sitting in that uneasy zone where every motion feels deliberate. A 3rd Jika Makoto-type patrol craft lingers behind them, adjusting speed in tiny, telling fluctuations. Bridge CIC. Contacts maintaining 182, matching our speed within 1/10 of a knot. That single sentence is all the confirmation the Ford's team needs. Ships don't match speed by accident. Not from that distance, not with that precision. Still, the Venezuelan hulls do nothing overt. No weapons visible. No hard turns. No radio calls. Just the quiet, psychological pressure of shadowing. The Ford's bridge team tracks the bearing. It doesn't budge. A steady bearing at sea means only 2 things: collision course or parallel pacing. These contacts aren't closing, which leaves just one explanation. CIC magnifies the radar feed. The spacing between the Venezuelan vessels is too exact to be coincidence. Their course corrections come in tiny, almost surgical increments, 1 or 2 degrees at most, each one subtly echoing the Ford's own movement. It's the maritime equivalent of someone matching your footsteps down a sidewalk. No contact, no threat, but impossible to ignore. The TAO logs it. Asterisk pattern indicates deliberate shadow behavior. No hostile profile. Recommend continue monitoring. Asterisk. The captain nods once. Let's see how far they want to take this. Flight deck operations slow. No launches, no recoveries, just crew on standby, eyes on the horizon, waiting for the next move in a game neither side has openly acknowledged. And the Venezuelans? They just keep matching. Every course shift, every speed change, every mile. At 8:11 a.m., a soft alert appears on the Ford's integrated sensor display, an altitude marker that has no business being this far from land. CIC to bridge. We have a low-altitude UAV ping. Southern sector, 5 miles. For half a heartbeat, the bridge freezes, not out of fear, but because it's new. The Ford's E-2D Hawkeye, orbiting farther east, catches it first. Sensors sweep, lock, classify. A small drone, civilian-grade frame, military-style routing, likely launched from a coastal unit or a Venezuelan patrol site. Asterisk unidentified UAV. Altitude 180 feet. Moving northwest, crossing the outer ring. Asterisk. Not armed. Not diving. Not approaching the carrier. Just in the wrong place at the worst possible time. With 3 Venezuelan patrol ships shadowing at sea level, a drone overhead turns an already tense picture into something layered and ambiguous. No one knows if the drone operator understands how close the UAV is getting to a high-value strike group. The TAO radios the Hawkeye. Maintain track. No intercept, just eyes. On the bridge, tension ratchets up a single notch. A drone this close could mean surveillance, confusion, or someone simply testing their range. But to a strike group already being paced by 3 foreign vessels, it reads as something else entirely. Layers of awareness. Surface shadowing below. UAV watching from above. Not hostile, but deliberate. The XO leans forward. Whatever this is, they're building a picture. And every mile sharpens it. One of the Venezuelan ships, the middle Guaycuri-class vessel, makes a sudden course change. Not a smooth drift. Not a routine correction. A sharp, deliberate turn that cuts diagonally across its previous line like a knife. Bridge CIC. Contact altering course 20 degrees starboard toward our lane. The bridge goes still. The turn is too tight, too abrupt, and far too poorly timed to be innocent. But it doesn't fit an attack profile either. Speed steady, sensors cold, and its sister ships remain untouched, maintaining their original track. The TAO scrolls the intel notes again. One entry flashes like a warning light. Venezuela activated several coastal radar buoys earlier in the week, aging units with spotty calibration and terrible accuracy beyond the littoral zone. If that patrol ship is riding bad buoy data, the result would look exactly like this, a sudden correction based on a false position fix. A correction that now resembles a cut-off attempt. The FO speaks up. Range decreasing. New bearing is steady. If they hold this line, they'll cross our bow. That's not poor seamanship. That's a safety violation. Now the USS McFall, one of the Ford's escorts, moves. Not with speed, not with threat. Just enough to make her presence unmistakable. The TAO keys the mic. McFall. Position for soft intercept. No signals. No warnings. A soft intercept carries a single purpose. Step between without escalating. As McFall angles outward, the Venezuelan ship continues its misguided turn, likely chasing the faulty buoy's imagined track. The Ford's captain watches the range tighten. Let's hope they understand what they're doing. One more degree and this stops being shadowing. It becomes a collision problem. At 8:23 a.m., the moment arrives. The scenario every carrier captain rehearses endlessly but prays to avoid. The Venezuelan patrol ship, the same one that made the abrupt correction, is now drifting dangerously close to a nuclear-powered carrier the size of a floating skyline. Bridge CIC. Contact inside 1.5 nautical miles and closing. That's more than close. That's inside the Ford's safety bubble, the invisible buffer that prevents collisions, interference, or deadly misjudgments. The Ford does not turn away. Carrier doctrine is clear. Maintain course unless safety demands otherwise. And right now, holding steady is the message. McFall shifts again, sliding squarely into the guard position between the Ford and the encroaching vessel. A deliberate move, protective barrier, not a threat. The captain's voice stays level. Maintain heading. Maintain speed. From the Venezuelan bridge, the view transforms. This isn't shadowing a large U.S. ship anymore. This is something else entirely. The Ford's superstructure rises like a steel cliff. Her flight deck stretches farther than many runways. Her wake churns with the mass of a floating airbase, not a frigate. And suddenly, the officers aboard the patrol ship understand. They didn't drift close to a U.S. warship. They drifted too close to the U.S. warship. Then the moment hits. The Ford executes a power turn, a wide, heavy arc meant solely for safety. But physics doesn't care about intent. When a 100,000-ton carrier pivots by even a few degrees, the ocean reacts like a struck giant. A rolling surge of displaced water erupts from the Ford's bow, racing outward in a rising wall the Venezuelan ship is not prepared for. CIC wake building. Contact adjusting late. Too late. The wake hammers their hull with a jolt that rattles gear, knocks crew off balance, and sends metal clattering. Not dangerous, but impossible to ignore. The smaller Guamacuto-class vessel behind them is forced to throttle back hard to avoid being rolled by the same surge. The Ford isn't accelerating. She isn't signaling. She isn't weaponizing anything. She simply turns, and the ocean does the rest. Diplomacy by displacement. The Venezuelan captain finally absorbs the message. Engine spool. Rudder swings. One by one, the three ships peel away from their parallel shadow tracks, breaking formation cleanly. CIC calls it contacts disengaging, opening distance to 3, 4, 5. Shadow ended. Picture captured. Crisis resolved not by missiles, but by momentum. By 8:37 a.m., the last Venezuelan patrol ship has slipped off the Ford's bearing line, bleeding back toward its original patrol sector. No radio calls, no apology, just distance, the only real way at sea for a navy to say we're done here. But the incident isn't finished. Not in the world that exists above the waterline. 2 hours later, a short, tightly cut video appears on a Venezuelan state channel, 20 seconds long. Shot from the deck of one of the patrol ships, just enough to catch the Ford's silhouette on the horizon with a caption, U.S. warship approached our patrol zone. No mention of faulty radar buoys. No mention of drifting deep into the Ford's safety bubble. Just a narrative clean, convenient, politically useful. Washington's response is predictable but measured. USS Gerald R. Ford conducted routine, lawful operations in international waters. No theatrics, no escalation, no finger-pointing. What unfolded that morning wasn't a confrontation. It was a textbook case of modern gray zone maneuvering. The subtle game navies play below the threshold of conflict. No missiles, no warning shots, just presence, pressure, perception. A drone flown a little too far. Patrol ship trusting the wrong buoy. A carrier refusing to yield even a fraction of a degree. Tiny decisions stacking fast. One misread course line becomes a diplomatic snag. One mistaken turn looks like a provocation. And one carrier-sized wake ends a standoff without a single word spoken. So tell me this. If you had been standing on the Ford's bridge that morning, would you have held your course? Or played it safe? Drop your answer below. I do read them. If you enjoyed this breakdown, hit like and subscribe so you never miss the next one. And if you want to support the channel directly, consider joining the fleet. You'll get loyalty badges, priority replies, and you'll help us bring more true maritime stories to the surface. Just head over to the channel page and click join to climb aboard. Because let's be honest, it's a whole lot easier to analyze these close calls from home than from 1.3 miles off a carrier's bow.